You need a home, and I need a mommy. The November air carried the scent of fallen leaves and distant rain as Sarah Chen pulled her thin jacket tighter around her shoulders. She sat on the cold metal bench at the downtown bus stop, her worn backpack clutched against her chest like a shield. The city moved around her in its usual rhythm, cars humming past, people hurrying to warm destinations she could only imagine. Sarah had been 22 for 3 months now, though some days she felt much older. Her dark hair hung in loose waves around her face, and her brown eyes held a weariness that didn't belong to someone so young. She watched the digital display above the bench, counting down the minutes until the next bus would arrive. Not that she had anywhere particular to go, the shelter would open its doors again at 6 o'clock. Until then, she moved from place to place, trying to stay warm, trying to stay invisible. The library had been her refuge earlier, but it closed at 5 on weekdays. Now she waited, like she had waited so many times before, for the day to pass into evening. A small voice broke through her quiet thoughts. "Excuse me, miss?" Sarah looked down to see a little girl standing nearby. The child couldn't have been more than 6 years old, with auburn curls that caught the streetlight and bright green eyes that sparkled with curiosity. She wore a purple winter coat that was clearly too big for her small frame, and she carried a stuffed rabbit that had seen better days. "Hi there," Sarah said softly, glancing around for the child's parents. The bus stop was mostly empty except for an elderly man reading a newspaper at the far end. "Are you looking for someone?" The little girl stepped closer, seemingly unaware of any stranger danger. "My name is Emma," she announced with the confidence only children possess. "What's your name?" "I'm Sarah." She continued scanning the area, growing concerned. "Emma, where are your parents? Are they nearby?" Emma's expression grew serious, and she hugged her stuffed rabbit tighter. "My mommy went to heaven last summer." "And my daddy?" She paused, looking down at her worn sneakers. "My daddy drinks the sad juice a lot and sometimes forgets to take care of me." Sarah's heart clenched. She knew that look in the child's eyes, the same hollow uncertainty she had carried as a young girl when her own world had fallen apart. "Oh, honey," she whispered, her voice catching slightly. "I was walking home from school, but I got lost," Emma continued matter-of-factly. "And then I saw you sitting here and you looked sad like me, so I thought maybe we could be sad together." The innocence of the statement nearly broke Sarah's heart. She scooted over on the bench, making room. "Would you like to sit with me while we figure out how to get you home?" Emma climbed up onto the bench, her small legs swinging freely. She studied Sarah's face with the intense focus children often brought to their observations. "Are you homeless?" she asked with startling directness. Sarah hesitated. Most adults would have danced around the question, but children deserved honesty. "Yes, I am," she said quietly. "That means you don't have a house to live in, right?" Emma nodded knowingly. "My friend at school was homeless for a while. She said it was really hard." "It is hard sometimes," Sarah admitted, "but I'm managing okay." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the evening traffic increase as rush hour began. The streetlights flickered on, casting long shadows across the sidewalk. Sarah found herself thinking about how to help this lost little girl get home safely, even though she wasn't sure where home was for Emma. "Sarah?" Emma's voice was small now, almost hesitant. "Yes, sweetheart. You need a home," Emma said, turning to look directly at her. "And I need a mommy." The words hung in the air between them, simple and profound. Sarah felt tears prick at her eyes, but she blinked them back. "Emma, that's very sweet of you to say." "I'm not just being sweet," Emma said with surprising seriousness. "I mean it. My daddy tries, but he's too sad all the time. And you seem nice and not scary like some grown-ups." Before Sarah could respond, she heard someone calling Emma's name. A man in his 30s came jogging down the sidewalk, his face etched with worry and relief. His clothes were rumpled and his hair looked like he'd been running his hands through it. "Emma, there you are." He reached the bus stop and dropped to his knees in front of the bench. "Honey, you scared me so much. I looked everywhere for you." "Hi, Daddy," Emma said calmly. "This is my friend Sarah. We were talking about important things." The man looked up at Sarah with grateful eyes. Thank you for staying with her. I'm David Mitchell, Emma's father. He looked exhausted and overwhelmed. She wandered off after school, and I've been searching for 2 hours. She's a wonderful little girl, Sarah said, meaning every word. Very brave and very smart. David's eyes were red-rimmed, and Sarah could smell the faint scent of alcohol on his breath, though he seemed coherent and genuinely concerned about his daughter. I know I'm not the best father right now. Since my wife died, everything's been falling apart. Emma slipped off the bench and took both Sarah's hand and her father's hand. Daddy, Sarah doesn't have a home. And I told her that she needs a home and I need a mommy. Maybe she could come live with us. David looked startled, but Sarah saw something flicker in his eyes. Not just surprise, but a spark of hope he was trying to suppress. Emma, sweetheart, it's not that simple. Why not? Emma asked with the logic of childhood. Our house has extra rooms since Mommy went to heaven. And Sarah is nice, and she listened to me, and she didn't try to leave me alone. Sarah felt her cheeks warm. Emma, your father doesn't know me. I could be anyone. I could be dangerous. But you're not, Emma said with absolute certainty. I can tell. David studied Sarah's face in the streetlight. Something in his expression shifted, became more thoughtful. You've been homeless long? He asked gently. About 8 months, Sarah answered honestly. Since I aged out of foster care, I'm trying to save money for my own place, but it's... She shrugged, not wanting to burden this struggling father with her problems. What if... David began, then stopped. He ran a hand through his hair. This is crazy, but Emma's right about one thing. Our house feels empty now, and she needs stability. Someone who can be there when I'm... He trailed off, looking ashamed. Daddy has bad days, Emma explained to Sarah. But maybe if you were there, the days wouldn't be so bad for any of us. Sarah looked between the father and daughter, seeing their shared pain and their desperate need for healing. She thought about the cold shelter, about the uncertainty of each day, about the loneliness that had become her constant companion. I have references from the library where I volunteer, she said quietly, and from the community center. I'm not asking for charity, Mr. Mitchell. If you're serious, I could help with Emma, maybe do some housework, contribute however I can. David's eyes filled with tears he was trying not to shed. Would you consider it? A trial period, maybe? Emma's right. We need each other. Emma squeezed both their hands tighter. See? I told you this was important. As the bus finally arrived, its warm yellow light spilling onto the sidewalk, none of them moved to board it. Sometimes the most important journeys began not with leaving, but with choosing to stay. Let's go home, David said, and for the first time in months, Sarah knew exactly what that word meant.